Let me start by saying I applaud this tool for such a well thought out interface and an amazing attention to detail, all while keeping the interface extremely easy to use. I'm talking about Visily AI. It's a relatively simple UI design platform and extremely easy to use. I think it's perfect for designers who are just starting up or people who don't want to go through the learning curve of Figma, because unlike Figma, Visily is very intuitive. You can learn it within an hour and you're good to start designing. It's also a good example of proper AI implementation to assist you with your design. In this video, I will go through the process of designing an app from scratch, and at the end of the video, I will give my honest rating from the perspective of a UI UX designer. Let's get into it. So let's start off by going over the main AI features they have here. You have the option to input a screenshot and it will create a design for you with all of the elements inside of it. That's a really cool feature. And then you have text to diagram where you prompt the AI with natural language and you can get diagrams or user flowcharts out of it. And then you have text to design, which will generate screens based on your prompt. And then you have theme generator, which will allow you to import your theme from an existing website or from a picture that you have, or you can even generate from prompts based on like the look and feel that you're looking for. And then you have magic image, which will find images for you based on the content of your app that you're designing. And then you have other tools that they put here just for you to find them, but you can access them from other places within the UI. Those tools are Smart Table Data Fill, which is really a cool feature where it will fill up the table based on the criteria that you give it. And then you have the switcher for lo-fi and hi-fi design, where you can showcase or design with a wireframe look or the high fidelity look for your UI design. The color assistant feature here is really cool. I love this feature because it assists you with contrast and decisions on accessible design for adherence with web protocols in order to be inclusive and accessible. And then you have the option to convert a sketch into a design. And the last option here, it says coming soon, which will generate content for your design. So all of this was in the Visily AI tab here on the left. I'm going to attempt to design a home automation app from scratch within this tool. So I'm going to start with a text to diagram feature. To start this project, I'm going to need a foundation, some kind of user flow or user journey to determine all of the screens and start with the project. So I'm gonna say I want a user journey for a home automation app. So here I asked for a user flow instead of a user journey, and it gave me a really cool diagram here that looks like it's accurate and covers all of the scenarios for the user. So you start and you log in and you get to your dashboard here. Then you have your device list and your account settings and your notifications. And if you go to your device list, you can select a device and control it. You can adjust the settings for the device, which is create a schedule or customize settings. And then in your account settings, you can manage your devices as well. You can add and remove devices. And then from your notifications, you can interact with your notifications to manage devices and to get to your device list. And of course, you can modify any aspect of this that you would like to make it more clear and to be able to communicate this with other people on your team. Yeah, so this is a pretty cool diagram to start with. Now, I'm not gonna go through designing all of the pages for this video because that would take a few days. So let's start creating the dashboard. We have a few options to do that. If you have an inspiration from other places, you can import it here and it will convert it into elements for you. Let's start with the text to design feature here. I'm gonna say mobile. I'm gonna say what is the design that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna say dashboard for a home automation app, and it's starting to generate on the side here. Okay, that took about 2 minutes and it gave me this long page. It looks very unique as opposed to other AI UI apps that I've tried. It's giving me cool features and indications at the top, scene automations here. You have devices with status. It's cool how it's giving me different examples for lights and for camera and for thermostat. So each one will display the status differently here. That's cool. You have your thermostat control. You have security. I guess this is the log of every action that's happening within the home automation. So you can track back. This is a cool feature. I didn't think about that. Text messaging box at the bottom for some reason. So it's making it seem like you're chatting here, but this is not a chat. This is a log. And then you have 4 tabs at the bottom. Having the logout in the tab bar here is not very ideal. You have info and help, which is not very useful. And your main button here, your main tab here is settings. So that doesn't make much sense. Yeah, that all can be fixed. At least it's giving you a good starting point. This is an option. I'm gonna go ahead and edit some of these elements and let's see how the editing works. So I love the contextual menu bar that you have here. It is contextual, so it's based on what you have selected, which is really cool. So now I have this icon element selected. You can go ahead and change it to anything that you want. They have multiple icon packs all included within this tool. And then you can change the style of the icon here if you want it outline or filled. And you can change the size, the color. You can change the whole theme colors and the opacity from here, direction horizontally and vertically, and you have your opacity. And if you click on this layout properties here on the side, you get more options for layout, and you get this anchor option that's really cool here as well. But it does not have auto layout or padding. There's no padding or auto layout here. Now for this element here, it is responsive, so that's really cool. You can even add an item here. It will have more items for you if you want. You can even delete an item. So that's really cool. Everything you need for editing this layout is hovering around you when you need it. So that's really cool. There's a contextual menu and there's buttons to modify the element. If you hold on the move, you can move it here. So there's no auto layout, but some components are dynamic and smart, so you can move elements within smart elements. So let's get rid of this text box, messaging box here. So this is a tab bar element here, which means it has specific features for a tab bar. So you can select the style of the tab bar, like let's say this one, for example, and you can stretch it. It's responsive. I want to call this home and change the icon. Let's look at the diagram to see what else we need in the tab bar. So we have account settings and we have notifications. That means I only need 3 here. So I'm gonna dump this one, stretch 3 across, add account settings here, account, and the icon is gonna be this one. And then here we have notifications. And I'm gonna use a different icon, this one. Cool. Now let's put it back in within the layout, and we have our tab bar. You can change the size here if you want larger or smaller, and you can even control the size for text only, icons only, and the width of items, and the space between items, and the padding between the items. So you do have padding options here, but only within smart elements. Speaking about smart elements, let's jump into the wireframe tab you have on the side here. This is the main tab that you're going to need if you're designing something. So let's say I want to add an element for this card here where it controls the dimming the light. So you need a slider. In the wireframe tab here, you have different basic elements, which are shapes or sections or different screens for devices, and you have containers. So each of those will behave differently based on what it is. And for images, you can even browse multiple free image providers like Pexels and Unsplash, and that's all within the app, which is cool. But the cool thing we have here is the smart components. Smart components, each one of them will have different types of control and properties based on what it is. So let's say for our example here, we need a slider. So I'm gonna bring the slider here. I'll put it right there. And now it is part of my full element here. So if you move the whole element, it moves with it. So that's cool. So what we're gonna do here with this element, we're gonna customize it. For this slider, you have different types of sliders. You have the basic, you have the range, and you have the progress bar. So I'm gonna leave it with the basic. I want it to be large, so I'll say XL. Or no, I'll just go large. It's cool how you can move the slider to the spot that you want here. You can manage the colors for the handle separately, for the border, for the active and inactive track. You can control the borders here. You can add shadow to the handle. I'll add that shadow medium here. And you have this option for sliders where you can add tick marks. That's a cool feature. When you add the tick marks, now you can only slide it to a specific point. You don't have a freeform sliding anymore, which is really cool. You can control the corner radius for the bar. I have it rounded here. Let's leave it at freeform here so we can move it freely, because that's how I wanted the interaction to be. This is an example of a smart component. It does have multiple features within the contextual toolbar here. Let's add a switch to turn this light on and off. I'm gonna remove the photo here because I don't need it. And I'm gonna add the switch here. And I'm gonna extend this bar to fill up the whole element. You have specific options for the style. You can change it however you want, and you can define the state that it's on. So you can say on or off, and it will change colors accordingly. And you can even have it disabled, so it will have the transparency. So it's really cool how they include all of these options with every element based on what it is. Let's leave it at medium here. And there you go. You have the switch and the slider. Now for the camera, I want to add multiple features. Usually I would plan this before starting the design, but for the purpose of this video, I'm designing as I go. So I want to add multiple controls here for record and stop and view. So let's get the icon button here. I'll make it smaller. Stop, I guess. Yep. I'll use this and I'll do filled. Okay, so I added a few interactions here based on the device. Now let's check out the theme so we can control the whole theme of the app. And there's a few cool ways to do that. So if you select the colors here, you can edit the main colors. You can also click on more options here and you can select from a theme library or extract from a website that you know, or you can extract from an image that you have, or create with keywords. So if you go for the theme library, it will show you multiple themes and you can pick from these. The other option is to extract from a web page, so you can enter the web page that you want here and it will extract the theme. Let's say PayPal, for example. So it shows you the homepage of PayPal here and it extracted the colors from this website based on the elements, but you can also modify them here. I don't know why it's using these. Maybe it's using the whole image, so it got the brown and the yellow from this image. You can delete them here and you can keep the main colors that you would like. It will also get the fonts for you from this website, so that's really cool as well. And when you're done modifying everything, you can say use these and it will import the colors to your design. Extracting from an image works the same. And the cool feature we have here is keywords. So you can select from keywords that they give you here, or you can describe it in your words. Let's say I want it to be technology, modern, bold. They actually have these: modern, bold, remove colorful. Let's add technology. And we added technology here. Let's check out the theme that it will generate. So these are the colors that it came up with. They look really nice. They work together. It gave me the Sora font and it has some settings for the shadows and the corner radius. So I'll click apply, and it says new theme applied here. Now you can see your theme settings on the side. I want this to be my primary color, so I'll put it at the beginning here, and it becomes the primary color, and everything changes according to that. If I want this to be primary and this one secondary, that works as well. You can even modify your semantic colors. So if I pick this one, for example, it affects the stop button that I have here. So yeah, it's giving you the basic colors that you might need for a mobile app. I'll say apply, and we have a theme here. So that's how themes work, and it's really very easy to use within the sidebar menu here. Now, if we go back to the Visily AI here, there is something called Magic Image, which will find similar images for you to use in your design. I don't find this particularly helpful, but this is how it works. So you select any image and you have the magic option here. It will allow you to find similar images. So that's just if you want to modify your content or customize your images, it will just give you similar stuff, but you can do your search based on different keywords. But you notice here, it's actually looking at the image and describing it. So it did recognize that this is a white thermostat on a white wall, and it's giving you results for that search. You can refine your search or type anything else that you want here. This feature is just understanding what's in your photos so that it is able to search for similar options. Let's say I don't want a photo here, I'll just put a placeholder or remove it completely. Now, it was extremely easy to design these cards with these elements here, but they are very limited in the look and feel of these elements. There's very specific parameters that you can set for these elements, and they do behave like components. Now let's check out this table component because it's really cool how it works. So when you select the arrow near the table component here, it gives you the option to select how many rows and columns you want, and you can even extend it further. So let's say I want this size. It will give you a table that you can put on your canvas. Let's add a few rows here. Now this contextual menu will apply for every column and every row based on the contents. So let's say I want to modify this whole column. You get the element type here. It says avatar and text. And you have multiple options, like what do you want this column to be? Do you want a switch? Do you want a progress bar? Do you want a text box? What we have selected here is avatar and text, and then it can fill the content based on what you want it to fill here. So let's say I want to put the email. It will generate emails for me here instead of the name, and it will change the title of the whole column for me. So if I want a name, you can select first or last. If you want a number, you want currency, time, date, location, job title, company. You have many options here to fill out your columns. Let's go to the next column here. Let's say I want a job title, and it will give me job titles. You can also control the sizing and the padding. This is very, very easy to use, and it will create your customized table in a few minutes. Here it has checkbox, so it's only including a checkbox. And if you select the row, you can control the alignment, the sizing, and the colors. And if you select the whole table, you have options for the whole table. Let's add a little bit of shadow here. I want the header row to be like this. If you select a specific cell, you can have more control over the font and the colors. And the cool thing is, if you change the color, you can select apply to the entire header, and it will apply to the entire header. So there's really very, very well thought out attention to detail here. It's really cool how you can manipulate those tables. I love this feature. Let's check out other smart components here just to give you an example of what it can do. A line chart, and you have what kind of line chart do you want, how many series do you want, and the colors. Do you want the legend? Do you want it at the bottom here? And do you want the axes? And do you want a grid? So there's a lot of really neat features that you can use. You can randomize the values just to make it look different if you have multiple ones. These are all very useful features, and I wish I had them in Figma. So let's say you want to add a drop down. You have these options. You can select if you want it filled or underlined, and what state do you want, and what size, and do you want an icon with it, It will add an icon here. You can say action icon. You can add an action icon as well. So you have two types of icons, and you can modify the placeholder. You can add a label. Sometimes it's really good to have a few features that work very well rather than giving a lot of freedom, and then people get confused and stuck by designing very basic elements. So you're getting really good design here for basic elements and modern stuff. So if I was gonna design an input field, I would design it exactly like this. Now let's say you want to use this app to design an interface in such an easy way and then import it to Figma. You can always do that. If you select the option button here, you have the export and you have convert to Figma. There's a limited amount of conversions to Figma if you're on the free plan. It works very well, but to do that, you're gonna need to install a plugin in Figma. So here's an example of how the elements work in Figma. I installed the Visily plugin, and all you have to do is just import the downloaded file that you got from Visily, and it works very well. So this is a different design that I imported here. You can see it works really well with auto layout and all of the appropriate settings in the side here with padding and everything. So the structure of the file is really good and works very well with Figma. Now we mentioned that you can switch between low fidelity and high fidelity design here, and you can also do it from the top in your design tab. So now I'm in hi-fi, I can go to low fidelity and it will convert everything into a wireframe style. So it'll actually remove all the styling and like the corner radius and the colors and everything related to visual properties. And it will add placeholders. If you want to preview your design in a raw state, you can always switch back and forth. So that's a neat feature that they have here. Now the other ways to start a design for an app is screenshot to design and sketch to design, both of which didn't work really well for me, but I'll show you an example. Screenshot to design worked a little bit better for me. Let's upload a screenshot. So I took a screenshot of a home automation app that looks like this. Let's see what it will give us. So here you can paste your screenshot. I'll add my screenshot here and it's working on it. So this is the result that it gave me. You can change the color palette from here. You can either use the color palette that you have in the screenshot or your current theme. So the thing here is that it imports images and elements and organizes them, but there's still going to be some differences between the original and the converted design. So you can see here it didn't add any shadows for the buttons and the cards here. It did copy the same icons and text, which is cool. I don't have the indication for the carousel here. It actually cropped the badge from the profile picture here. But yeah, the slider is missing here. We can add it very easily. Everything else looks very good, and the structure is very nice. Let's start to fix a little bit of these elements here. For the profile image, you have the style is an image. Here you can replace the image with something else, and the colors will actually affect even the background of the image, which is cool. And here you can add a badge, so you can say active, inactive, but you cannot decide where the badge goes. But yeah, these are the options you have for profile photos, for example. And this one is a button that is outlined. I want to add shadow to it. I don't want any outline, so I'll say add shadow. And I want to say the background is completely white. There we go. So yeah, it's very easy to fix. These icons are not actually icons. I wish they would convert them to actual icons, but here it's displaying an image of that icon. You have the toggle as a toggle element here with all of the states and styles. Here you can add the slider from the wireframe. Yeah, there's very little control that you get over these smart elements. Like, you cannot decide how many stops it has. It doesn't really work for this kind of layout here, so I'm gonna fix it by doing this. So that works. And for the icons, I would replace them with real icons. So in the wireframe panel here, you have templates and icons at the top. If you go to icons, you can search for similar icons so that you have vector icons instead of images. Let's see, the first one is sun. There we go. This is sun, then wind. There we go. And drop. There we go. So we pretty much found the exact same icons within the icon pack that they have here. But this sun icon is a little messed up for some reason. But you don't have the option to modify vector elements here or to draw from scratch. Like you cannot edit the anchor points. So if we say duplicate this, I just want to fix it. We'll just delete these ones. And now we have our icons here. And you can say these are disabled. There's a lot of cool details here, like it shows you which color you previously used, so you can right away immediately know which color to go for instead of checking and going back and forth. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you here is the templates tab. It has really cool templates because it gives you complete screens and flows based on what you want. So you can look for specific elements that you want, like cards, forms, navigation, tables, charts, control. I like this one. I want to put it here, for example. And it will have all of the specific options for it. But the cool thing is you can look for screen templates like flows. So this will give you the complete flow of a login screen or onboarding process. Like let's say I don't want to design the whole login process. I can just say add this process for me, and it will give me all of the screens required for this process. Look at that. All of the login screens that you would typically need in a mobile app. That's awesome. So it's really nice how they're adding these little features that other UI design apps don't have. And you can find flows, multiple screens all together, and you can look for diagrams as well. And you have all of these diagram options that you would typically create in FigJam. So that's cool. It's you have FigJam and Figma in one place. So if you go to screens here, you have all of these templates that you can use based on the type of screen that you want. Say you want a profile screen, it shows you all different types of profile screens with different layouts, different elements. Now, another really cool feature they have here is the color assistant, which will give you suggestions on your colors. So it will give you tips with accordance to the web standards. So here I have a few suggestions that they have here. They're saying that the contrast here is low. If I click try our suggestion, it will make it dark. So they're just saying that this color is not very visible or legible. And they have it here as well. The suggestion here is also the contrast. But yeah, sometimes they have suggestions for text size. And this is really helpful because as you're designing, if you have this turned on, it will show up and you can adjust as you go. Now the sketch to design feature didn't really work well for me, but I'll show you how it works. So I have this very quick sketch here of 2 sections with panels to control the heating and the light. I want a mobile screen. So this is what I got out of my sketch, which is really nothing at all. So yeah, this is the feature that is not really working for me, except maybe if I really improve my sketching skills, but I thought it would pick up something like this, but it didn't. So as you can tell, I really like this app, especially for people who are just starting out as designers and they want to design a UI in a very easy and simple way. This works very well as opposed to the overwhelming layout in Figma. So that's a really cool option to get started in UI design, especially with the AI features as well. So I'm gonna rate it based on 5 criteria. We have usability, functionality, performance, compatibility, and pricing. For usability, obviously, I've been bragging about this, but yeah, usability is amazing. It's very easy to use and very intuitive, especially with the contextual menu that appears on every element that you select. So that's a really good point. And there's a very low learning curve. Plus they add a lot of tutorials and examples and videos for each tool on how it works. So that's all very good. The only issue I found is with the sidebar, with the AI sidebar, that is not very clear. in terms of what it is, because some of the items in it are just shortcuts to other tools inside of the platform, but then other AI tools actually live in that sidebar, so it's confusing and you can't tell which is which. For example, if you want to use the magic image tool, if you click on it from the AI sidebar, it automatically selects a random image for you in the canvas and shows you that option within the contextual menu. So that's how you access this tool, not from the sidebar, but they have it in the sidebar. I understand why they did this, and I understand the design choice here, but I feel like it could get some work on making it more clear in terms of communicating what these items are. So for usability, I'm gonna give it a 9/10. For functionality, obviously this app lacks a lot of the design functionality that you can find in other UI design tools, like vector editing and auto layout and padding and creating components. You cannot create components or different states here. You can only get the components that they already built for you. So you cannot do that from scratch. So that's a very, very important thing that they don't have here. Like creating components is really important, and vector manipulation, no anchor points and stuff like that. Also, the prototyping tool is very basic. You cannot add actions on click to switch between states, for example, or switch on the same page. It only has the very basic prototyping feature, which is move from page to page, and it doesn't even have animations either for prototyping, so that's a minus as well. But other than that, they have the good collaboration features and good tools for tables and stuff like that. They have good responsive design, so that's good, but it does lack a lot of functionalities. So I'm gonna give it a 4. For performance, it's very robust and smooth. I didn't have any issues in terms of the performance of the app, but the performance of specific tools wasn't very good. Like the sketch to UI and the image to UI didn't work very well. I wish it would convert the icons into icons, for example. But other than that, the diagram was very well generated, which is really good. So for performance, I'm gonna give it a 7/10. For compatibility, it does export to Figma, which is really, really good for me. And that's like the main thing for me if I'm using a UI tool other than Figma. I just want to be able to bring back my designs to Figma, and that works here, so that's a really good plus. But it doesn't have any other compatibility than Figma, so you cannot export to other design tools or other dev tools. You can only get the CSS code, and you can only export to Tailwind, which is a CSS front-end thing, I guess. That's about it in terms of code. It doesn't even have asset management, so that's a big lacking feature that I found. So there's no way to actually use your own elements and your own components in this app. So that's a minus for me. And another thing that's missing here is plugins. So it does not work with any plugins. It does not have the capability or that community plugins area. So if they did have plugins compatibility, that would help with a lot of the other missing features. Maybe they'll add that in the future, but at the moment there's no plugins and there's no assets. So I guess for compatibility, I'm gonna give it a 6, and that's a good score just because it is compatible with Figma. And last but not least, pricing. I think the pricing here is good, especially with the free plan. You get a free trial and you get free AI credits, so that's very good. So you can always try it and see if you get along with it before buying it. The plan here is $14 per month, which is good. It's actually less than Figma. Figma is $15 per month, but then you have to pay for FigJam as well, which is $5. So that's $20 for Figma. And in Visily, you pay $14 and you get Figma and FigJam in one tool. So that's competitive and that's good. You get a lot of missing functionality here, but it's cheaper. So whatever works for you. I think the pricing is fair. So I'm going to give it a 8/10 for pricing. That brings us to the total. It's going to be 34/50 or 78% score. That's really good in my opinion for a tool that's new in the industry. So that's really, really impressive. 78% is not bad at all. I hope it gets better, and I hope you all got something valuable from this video, and I'll see you in the next video.